I went a little bit overboard on this one. Produced way too many cards. It got pretty complicated pretty fast. But this is game number 6 for the week of May 6th. And this one doesn't really have a name yet, but it's an RPG with primarily a bunch of cards. So to quickly go over the idea behind this game, you make a character. So this one here was called Rusty. You start at level 1, and you do level up by putting little ticks whenever you level. And you start off with some stats. So by default, you get 2 HP. This character got 3 more added in. And so every time you level up, you add another stat point to your character, however you want. When you start the game, you start with 2 to allocate in whichever way. And the basic game is you and a party, this is a 2-player game here, go on a quest. So the first thing that you would do is you would draw a quest. So these are a bunch of quest cards up here. This one is Infestation. So it says spawn 3 minions. So 3 minions would come into play here. And one more. And then it says gain 1 gold after each attack is successful. So there's 3 different types of enemies here, and they would all have stats that would fill in similar to the sheet here. And they have different actions. So each round of combat, there are these action points that get allocated. So you put 1 on each of the enemies, and then the players share 1 action point per enemy that was spawned in the quest. And then you take turns fighting. So first the players would go, they would spend 1 of their actions on whatever action they have. So from the start of the game, all they have is a dull sword that gives them an action to do 1 damage on a roll above 10. They also start with this Chalice of Fate, which is for a mana point, which starts on their character sheet. They could spend this mana point, like so, to re-roll any die in the game. But so for an action point, 1 damage on a roll over 10. So you would roll the dice. 10 is not over 10, however, you add in whatever strength you have left. And as long as it's over 10 minus whatever armor the enemy has, then you score a hit. And if you get a hit, you roll the die again, and it's a 50-50 shot. So 10 and lower hits HP, and 11 and higher hits strength. So this one you would take an HP away. But you could also diminish their strength, which means they would hit for less when they attack you. And then the players would choose one of the enemies to attack and roll the die and do the same thing. The enemies, these minions here, they attack whoever last attacked, whichever player last attacked. So you could kind of control aggro in that way. So once they are killed, you will score XP for kills and hits. And whenever the XP goes over the current level, you level up. So that's how leveling up works. And as well as when these spawn, there's these reward cards that go underneath. And so if I was to kill that one, I'd flip over the reward and see that I got 1 gold. So then 1 of these gold pieces would become mine. So that's how you get gold in the game, is you grind it out by killing enemies. And eventually you can spend that gold that you earn on items in the store. So different items do different things, such as Burst of Strength for 3 gold. I could discard this card and temporarily gain 3 extra strength for this round of combat. A round of combat is when all these action points are spent up. That's the end of a round of combat. So that kind of goes around, and you kill these enemies, level up, get stat points, buy new equipment whenever you want, and eventually you go on a boss fight. So these enemies would be killed at some point. And you can either go on more quests, or if you feel you're ready, you could go attack a boss. And the boss has a lot of HP, armor, strength, etc. He also spawns enemies with him. There's minions, and then there's also champions. So some missions spawn champions as well, which are stronger enemies. And this one says, if the players fail to remove a hit point from Killrot, this guy's named Killrot, after a round of combat, spawn 1 minion. And he does 2 damage on a roll above 19. So he doesn't hit very often. But when he does 2 damage. But if you don't keep taking hit points away from him, he'll keep spawning more. He's a summoner, so he'll keep spawning more enemies. So it's a relatively simple card game that kind of captures the feeling of leveling up and getting more stats and rolling dice and all that RPG goodness. And that's the game for the week.